Fox News alert on one of our top stories today. We have been watching reports coming out of Cincinnati that at least one of the people responsible for the controversy at the IRS targeting conservative groups, one of these guys, was recently promoted. Ben Swann is an anchor for Fox 19 in Cincinnati. He's been investigating this story from the very beginning. Ben, thanks for being here. We were told by Barack Obama that the folks who did this were going to be held responsible, and yet as we get down to the nitty-gritty, who actually did the targeting? Who was actually executing on these IRS letters to these conservative groups? We're learning more about a man named Steven Seok. Steven Seok? Tell us.
That's correct. Yeah, well, Steven Seok is one of the agents from the Exempt Organizations Division that we have uncovered, and his name has shown up particularly in documents targeting the Richmond Tea Party in Virginia. Now, what's interesting about Seok is that when we were able to access an IRS directory, we found that he was actually an exempt organization's manager. He's not just a low-level agent like some of these other agents. So we have at least 7 names, and among those names is Steven Seok, and he is a manager. Now, the reports that have been out today, though, about this indicate, based on our reporting, that Seok has been recently promoted as recently as when the scandal broke. And we are not sure that that is necessarily the case, because while we have this directory, it does not give us a timeline for when these promotions took place. So we know that Seok helped to target that Richmond, Virginia Tea Party in 2012, but between that date and now, has that the advancement of his career happened within that time frame, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
Well,
I've been talking to my sources
I'm looking at this
inside.
letter dated January 9, 2012, signed by Steven Seok,
right.
Exempt Organizations Specialist, and now he
Correct.
is a supervisor. All right, so that was January 2012.
He is a supervisor.
Now he's a supervisor. The point is, and you're not the only one doing the reporting on this, Washington Examiner has the same report out,
Correct.
that the man has been promoted. They contacted the Cincinnati IRS office, who had no comment on when and why the man was promoted. They directed them to Washington. Washington also refused to comment, citing the Privacy Act. The question is, because you've done all this reporting on the charts of people who actually did this. I mean, you're one of the few, unlike the IRS Commissioner, Stephen Miller, who wouldn't name names, who is naming names. Who
Correct.
on this chart that you guys have put together, and I notably see Cindy Thomas at the top, a name that doesn't get mentioned often enough, who's been
almost never
dealt with in any way?
Well, and that's exactly the problem here, is that when we've put together this chart, you can see very clearly a chain of command. And this is where the real problem is that with Steven Seok, you know, he's, again, one of these agents. But the bottom line is you have agents who are at the very top here. Cindy Thomas is the program manager for all the tax-exempt organizations. So there have been reports out recently, including in this latest lawsuit that was filed, saying that, well, there are agents actually spread out around the country who were taking part in this. Well, that's true to an extent. But here's what people don't understand, is that under the restructuring of the IRS that happened in 1998, every tax-exempt organization specialist answers to Cincinnati. And that means they all answer to Cindy Thomas,
and
every single one of them.
I want to pick it up with Cindy Thomas right after. I'm going to hold you over, because I want to pick it up with Cindy Thomas right after the break, because there's Cindy, and then there's Lois, and we'll talk about that next.